He's back, baby. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Glacial Geek video. I'm Phil, the Glacial Geek, and today I am very excited to talk to you about a couple new paint sets that are coming out from the Army Painter. Before we start, I do have to let you know, or I don't have to, but I'm going to let you know, I'm a member of the Army Painter's Factory team, which is their sponsored content creators. So take whatever I say with whatever grain of salt you want to give it, but I can promise you that I will always tell you my true personal opinion, and I wouldn't be working with them if I didn't like the products that they put out. Quite honestly, they don't pay me enough to lie to you. So that's the truth of the honesty. I'm not going to say anything that I don't think is true. I'm not going to try to dissemble. I am going to tell you my honest opinions about these new paints that are coming out. And basically, I was given early access to this. I wasn't paid specifically to talk about these. I was given early access, and I did receive these paints for free. So take with it whatever grain of salt you want. But I promise you that I will be telling you everything that I truly, honestly believe from my experience with them and also my experience with the paints in general. So, but they are going to be, now we can start to talk about them. They are the second and third sets in the John Blanche Masterclass series. So the first two that came out were honestly incredible. I still use a lot of those paints in high rotation in my painting. I've had to already get second bottles of a lot of those paints because I use them so often in my paint schemes. And I think there are a couple paints in these that I will also be using in high rotation. And I think that a couple of these really do fill some gaps that I think were in the Fanatic line, much like the first two volumes did. So the first two volumes of John Blanche's, the paint sets that came out in conjunction with John Blanche, really leaned into the darkness in the Grim Dark ideal. A lot of the paints filled a darker tone in their triads that they had, the flexible triads that they had, that I think had been missing from the initial release of the Fanatic line of paints, the acrylic paints. They used the same kind of formula, formulation, so they acted and performed exactly like you would expect from the Fanatic paints, the acrylic paints that the Army Painter has been putting out. So if you have experience with them, then that continues in with these sets as well. If you have experience with the Fanatic paints and you like how they perform and you like what they feel and how you can paint with them, this is just going to be more colors in that same kind of formulation. These new two new sets, one coming out in a cool tone, cool palette, and one coming out in a warm palette, are a little bit different. So the other ones, like I said, leaned into the dark in the Grim Dark. These are not as dark. These are definitely a lot lighter. They follow a similar naming pattern as you'll see with the two different sets. And I think that they're meant to be kind of like a conjunction here, like the cool and the warm palettes. But if I'm being honest, it does feel like one leaned into more of a vibrantness, which may be what they were looking for. Like, makes you feel more vibrant in the warm weather and maybe a little bit more muted in the cool weather. But the cool tones were definitely a little bit more muted, although there are a couple paints in there that I also think are very vibrant and have a lot of punch into them, which I think a lot of people had some qualms about with the initial release of the Fanatic line, that they didn't feel like they had a lot of punch, like especially like the red and stuff like that they felt didn't quite live up to what they had hoped for. In this set that they have here, there is a red called Bloodthorn, which is in the warm, that is possibly the most vibrant red I've seen. And working together, I think, with that and the fiery vermilion from the old John Blanche sets, I think is going to be an excellent combination they work with. They also came out with an Ember Veil, which is, again, in the warm set, that is an orange that is like, emergency, like a traffic orange, like the bright orange that's really going to catch eyes. And I think that combination is really good. So like I said, there's a couple of paints in these sets that I think are leaning into the more vibrant nature of the colors that you can be choosing from here. These ones are not meant to fit in like the other ones into specific flexible triads. These are going to be more that you're going to pick and choose them to do what you want them for. For instance, the Sky Shard from the cool tone I've been now using as my edge highlight color for my Space Wolves, because it's truly like a just like a cool off white. So it's a very, very light, very very seemingly white, but with a blue tinge to it, which gives it a cool tone, which really gives that same sense that I want with my Space Wolves. That gives them that cool tone, so you don't have to worry about it being too warming anything up, because they're literally standing on ice, my models. So, or imaginary ice, I guess, not literal ice. So I want them to be cool. So, like I said, there's a lot of these paints that I think are going to be filling some gaps in things. In the cool set, there's also the Moon Petal, which I think is going to be my go-to now for tongues and for like scars. The kind of pink that it is just like very evocative of that kind of like fleshy human, like quasi, like fleshy, organic kind of creaturey kind of look to it. Again, like I said, they're broken up into the warm and the cool shade. Each of them comes with 10 brand new paint colors. 2 of which are washes, or so I guess 8 paints and 2 washes. I like the washes. Some of them, like, the Night Root shade is a purple wash, which is I've never really used the purple tone from the main set for much things, because I don't really do a lot of purple. But I imagine that this would be a very cool purple if you're doing like a Heresy era Emperor's Children or something like that. I think that would be very effective for that. I think that the 2 greens that they have, the 2 green washes, one's like a turquoisey green, which is from the cool set, which is Pine Hollow shade, and then the more greeny, like foresty green, which is Grove Hollow shade from this. I think are going to be good. I think you can. I can see a lot of uses for them, for washing them, because I've been trying to recently. When I've been painting model, and by recently I mean the last couple of years, when I paint a color, I've been trying to use a wash that is actually not just like a brown or a black. That's actually going to be similar to what the base is, and it gives gives like the recesses, and it gives the shadows a bit more of a color, like an oomph, and when you use that kind of thing. So either whether I'm using like thin down speed paint for that process, or if I'm going to be using something like a colored wash like these, I've been using a lot more of those. I also have been using it to give it that like a tonal shift that you can get with those. So, for instance, like a blue tone to give metal like that, like bluey, like steely kind of look to it. So I think those are going to be welcome additions to my paint rotation there. The vibrancy that you get in like the orange, green, yellow, and red from the warm tone set is just phenomenal. Like super bright, super punchy. Like near neon kind of. I know they're not quite neon, and they're definitely not like, I say this, I don't think that they are UV reactive, but they are very bright, and they're very reminiscent of like a neon kind of look. And in the blue shade, the Frost Veil is a really bright, vibrant blue. Again, similar to like a neon kind of blue look to it that I think is really, really good. And I think I could see a lot of uses for that, especially for something like a whimsical kind of look that you see a lot of people doing there. And the combination of those two with a dark base would be pretty phenomenal. I think they would pop really, really well. These are in conjunction with John Blanche, the Godfather of Grim Dark. And what's interesting about these is that they don't lean into the dark of Grim Dark, but you just like you can't appreciate the light without the dark, you can't appreciate the dark without the light. And I think that what these are meant to be are color paletted to like a tone, like a warm or a cool tone, kind of split them up. But they're also, I think, designed to act as the contrast to the darker shades that you would see in Grim Dark, because I think that kind of contrast that you get from a punchy color and then have it into a darkness, like a lead into something dark, I think is very reminiscent of a lot of John Blanche's work. And I think it's also very cool to see that kind of sense to Grim Dark, because you can't get the dark without the light. And that kind of contrast is what really separates them out and punches them out. So to me, while these are not necessarily leaning into the dark in Grim Dark, I certainly see them being very effective in allowing you to kind of play and show that kind of contrast and that pop that you really want with Grim Dark. Because a lot of people seem to like feel that Grim Dark needs to just be muddy, like a flat darkness that is just like no definition, nothing to it, which is, if that's your aesthetic, that's what you're going for, go for it. But don't think that just because there's no definition and it's dark that it becomes Grimdark. That's not effective. It's not evocative. It doesn't do anything. John Blanche used to use all sorts of, in all of his illustrations, he used to use a lot of different colors, bright colors, things that would pop. Look at his, look at the blood angels that he painted up. Those are not dark, but the essence and the sense that you get from it is very Grimdark, because he knew how to give that kind of evocative sense for the colors that he would use. He's known for using whatever colors he thought were necessary and whatever colors he thought were evocative of what he was trying to do. And the people talk about the Zorn palette and stuff like that, and that was not his interest. His interest was in using the colors that spoke to him and that told the story that he wanted to do. And I think that I could see why he would work with the Army Painter to put these into a set, because there is that grassy, earthy kind of tones that they have with a lot of the browns and stuff that they've got going on in here. But there is those pops of color that I think are going to be, like I said, excellent contrast to the darkness, to allow the darkness to feel darker, to feel more, oppressive than necessarily what you would get by just making it dark. Because you can't get a sense of how dark it is without the contrast of what it could be, the brightness. So those are my thoughts on these paints. I think they're very good. I'm excited to use them and put them into my, the rotation of the different paints. I can see myself reaching for a lot of these for a lot of different reasons. If you think that they are for you, they are actually on pre-order, at least if you're watching this soon after I put this up. They are on pre-order now, and they will go, shipping date is going to be February 21st, 2026, in case you're watching this years later, is the shipping date. But they are on pre-order as of now when I'm going to be posting this video. So anytime you've watched this going forward, they're going to be on pre-order. And remember, because I am a member of the Army Painters Factory team, if you go to the Army Painter and you decide to buy these paints, you can use the code FACTORYGEEK5 and save yourself 5% off on these sets, as well as any other kind of paints and supplies that you want to get from the Army Painter. That is a discount code that I initially got into negotiated to have into my contract when I first signed up for the Army Painter Factory team, because I wanted to be able to give back, because I'm only here because of you guys, and it's why I'm super thankful for everything that you guys have done for me over the last 10 years, and there was a way for me to say thank you and give back to you guys, they've since turned it into an affiliate code, so it's also a way for you to give back to the channel without costing you anything. But originally it was just a discount code, and so you can go there, get yourself 5% off of these sales. These will also eventually be out in individual bottles, just like the first John Blanche series. So this is not meant to be like a FOMO box. Like, this is not the only way that you can get these colors. If you decide that these colors are things that you want to have going forward, they're not limited. So they will be continuing on with these colors, and they will be available to you. So that's what the John Blanche set is meant to be. A lot of it was also just the reason they wanted to do these sets and colors with John Blanche is that they wanted to have a way to kind of give back to John for everything that he's done for the hobby that we do. And this is a way, because he does get a part of all the sales that happen with the John Blanche series and paints that are associated with his name. And it's a way to kind of help him give back to him and give back to everything that he has done for us in the hobby. And it's a way for the Army Painter to say thank you for what he's done. And it's also a way that this is going to be continuing forward. So there will always be, the sales will always have a percentage that goes back to him and his estate when he eventually passes on. So that's the reason that they've been doing this. It's not just to try to they didn't just take his name for no reason. They wanted to be able to give back, and they felt this was a great way to do so. So if you want to, like I said, you can save yourself 5% off, and the money, there's a percentage that does also go to John as well. But this is not a FOMO box. These will be available individually if you decide that you want to get just like one or two of the colors. And they also, if you decide that you really like one of the colors that you get from the box set, you will be able to replace it with more going forward in individual sales. So no FOMO. Don't worry if you don't want it right now. Don't worry if you can't get it right now. Don't worry if there's only a couple colors that you want and you want to wait till they're individually, because that will come. And that 5% off will also work for those too when they eventually come out in singles. So let me know down below what you think about these colors. I'm really excited for them. I think they're cool. I really like how they look. I think there's a lot of saturation in these colors that I think is going to be really cool to pair off of, even with some of the paints from the other previous sets. That contrast I think is going to be really, really cool. So Let me know down below if there's any one color in particular that you're super excited about, whether there's one of the two different boxes that you're excited about, and make sure that if you want to get some, you can go and pre-order it. Like I said, it'll be coming out onto the street sales in February, on February 21st, but it's on pre-order now if you go there. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. I've been Phil, the Glacial Geek, as always, and until next time, stay safe and have fun.